I don't care. Hey, everybody, this is Dr. J and Kamal, streaming live from Long Island here, coming to you at 3 o'clock instead of 4:30. Look for us at 4, look for us probably around 4:30 tomorrow. Today is a special occasion where I have to leave, be somewhere this afternoon. And so Kamal was gracious enough to come at 3 and join me. I really want to discuss where we are in the markets. Are we going down? Are we going up? Are we staying more or less in the trading range?
Did we bottom?
Did we bottom? Now, last time I gave some reasons I thought we bottomed. That was on a Sunday. By Monday morning, the futures told me I was wrong. So let's see if I can be right, more right this time. I couldn't be more wrong last time. So let's see if I can get it right this time. Of course, it scares me when gurus like Mike Wilson, not just any schmo on the street, is talking SPX, another 20% drop, 15 to 20% drop, which would take us down to about roughly 3,000 SPX or 300 SPY. That scares me. When I look at the charts and I look at the fib numbers, I can see that possibilities that we may in fact have already bottomed. And if not, I don't know that I agree with 3,000. That might be too much. So let's take a look at where I think we may be going or may have come from, if you know what I mean.
Remember, I kind of predicted a green week this week.
You did. You're getting good at predicting green from red. I'm not really a good differentiator between green and red. In fact, when I went to the eye doctor as a kid, he told me I was green, not green red colorblind, green blue colorblind. So I just don't trust my colors. I'm actually not green red colorblind. All right. Anyway, Chuck, Mika is with us today. And considering that we're coming to you at a strange hour, I don't know how many viewers we're going to get live, but that's okay. They can catch us after the market closes when they have more time. But of course, if they tune in now, they're welcome. We're going to discuss IWM, the Qs, the diamonds. We're going to discuss Snowflake, the cloud company, the hot IPO from earlier in the year that collapsed, and Google, which I actually bought some more of today, and maybe one or two biotechs depending on time. So let's get started because I have limited time today, and that's why I changed the time. All right. So let's look first at IWM. We haven't looked at IWM in a while. I drew the Fibonacci retrace from the March 15, 2020 low, which was at $95 roughly, to the highs of 11.7, which was 244.46. It's a pretty nice range. We made a lot of headway in just 2 years, right? A little more than 2 years. But now it's our turn to give it back a little bit. And we've done just that, hovering, stopping right at around the 50% retrace. So on the IWM, we did last week go below that 50% number. And this week we're still trading below it, but we actually had a touch of, we're actually exactly at it now, 168. So we're trading at the fib 50% retrace. So that's interesting. If it can hold this number, 168, and actually close higher today and close higher still on Friday, if we can close on the other side of the 200-day week moving average, I will get extremely excited and very bullish because those are the things that we need to happen. Today, we need to close above where we are now, 168 roughly. If we can close above the 200, which is, let's see where that is. That's
I mean,
one.
we're already there, by the way. We're already
What's that?
168.73, right?
Yeah, that's where we are now, right?
Yep.
And yeah, we need to close at least where we are now. And then the 200 day is 176.43. I want to close above that, let's say sometime next week. If we can do that, I think we're in very good shape to maybe hit the 100 day moving average at about 202. So I can see a retest of the 200 level. If we can just get past the 200 week moving average. Let's look at the daily on IWM. The daily shows very little in the way of very little in the way of resistance all the way up to 190. So similar to the weekly. Now down here, we bottomed on 616 at 162, right? 162. We have a Rami the next day, and after that, we've had 1, 2 candles that are green, and today it's I'm unclear whether it'll be green or red or just a doji, pretty much where it is. So far, the action off of this Harami is looking pretty good. Now, as I've said often, I don't put any stock in Haramis normally, but if it comes at the end of a long downturn, a bullish Harami has more meaning to me. So I do think it's a little more meaningful, and we have to watch for a possible run. I think we want to take out 175 here and then fill the gap. I'm looking for a gap fill right about 180. So I think short term we could make 180 maybe next week on this. Let's go back to the weekly again, just to refresh my memory. Yeah, I want to close above the 200, which is, let me look again, 176.45. So that's pretty much the same as what the daily is telling us. Let's take a look now at, so this is not very bullish, it's iffy, but there's hope that it's not going to go all the way down to, let's say, the 61.8% retrace, which would put us at IWM 150.250. That would be the next stop if we don't get the bullishness that I talked about tomorrow and next week. So in the absence of a continuation, we will probably test the 61.8 retrace, and hopefully that would be a good place to stop. So, and that's not that far below 152, would be 16 points below, just another 10%, not 15 to 20 like Mike Wilson's talking. All right, take a look at the cues. Let's take a look at the weekly again. Okay, so I drew the fib retrace from the 3920 lows, pandemic lows of 177, up until the high on the cues of 408.71. That's some move over two years. We've come back down, but well below the 50. So the 50% retrace is out. It looks like either likely stopping points would now be the 200 or the 61.8% retrace. The 200-day moving average would put us at 263, and the 61.8% would be 258. So I do see this one looks a little weak, but again, not the kind of weakness Mike Wilson's talking about. 258 would be a drop of 25 points, less than 10%. I don't see 15 to 20 like he's talking. And
Could
this
you
is
zoom in? Could you zoom in a little bit?
yeah, this is a very, very good spot to stop, the 61.8%. If you notice, it has a hit at a very interesting low that we put in on 9/21/20. That low was 260.11. So around 260 would be a good stopping point, 258, something like that. So I'm very optimistic that we have at most 10% left on the downside on the Qs. Let's take a look at the diamonds, because diamonds are a girl's best friend. Is this number right that we're up 0.57 at this moment?
Yes.
Okay. So basically flat on the day. And if you notice, I don't even need the whole picture. The retrace from the 2020 lows of 182 took us to a low of 296 sometime last week. And this week we're trading again so far what looks like a harami. Again, we still have Friday to ruin the harami, but it would be a bullish harami. And this index, the Dow, happened to stop right at the 38.2% retrace, so very, very close. So if you like fib numbers, this is not a bad fib number to say we're done. On the other hand, the 200-day moving average is not far below. That's another strong support area at 293 roughly. And if the worst comes to worst, we come down to the 50% retrace at 276. That would be 30 points more or another 10%. So all my indices that I'm looking at show at most, in my worst case, 10% more to the downside, not 15, not 20. I'm going against Mike Wilson. I think he's overly pessimistic. And let me tell you, he's one of the gurus that I admire on Wall Street. But I think he's got it I think he's overshooting on the downside by a little bit. Well, by a lot. Let's take a look now at Snow Interactive, Snowflake, SNOW. This, as you recall, was a very hot, I think it was IPO, I don't think it was a SPAC. When it came out, it ran all the way up to 429 on 12/6/20. Let's see, was it even around during the pandemic lows? No, it came out in September. The low that it put in September was 208. Well, we're well below 208 at this point. We're at 141. From the highs, we're off nearly 300 points. So it's a huge drop. Now, is there hope? There's always hope. Hope springs eternal. This is a growth story, and you know how tech growth has been punished, right, Kamal?
Correct.
Severely punished. But look, despite this huge downturn, we put in what I like is this is a terrific one-day candle that signals the end of the downturn. When you get a solid green like this, you don't even need a follow through confirmation candle. This is enough for me on the weekly. If we don't collapse tomorrow on snow, and this even climbs a little bit more, let's say up to maybe 150 on Friday, I think there's no doubt that we're going to make a run all the way up here to, let me draw it in, where I think we could run to. I'm very bullish.
248
I'm
roughly.
very bullish the chart on this one. So the chart, it would be, 248.
248.
Yes, I mean, that's like 100 points from here. And the downside is just with the low that we put in yesterday, 110.20 last week, 110.26.
So it looks like we're bottomed.
It does. It's very encouraging chart to me with this solid green candle today. It happens to be my favorite pattern when I get a big green candle after like a huge downturn. Of course, over here on 3/13/2022, March of 2022, we had a nice engulfing candle, which to me was a signal that we would possibly move up. And all we could muster was a 2-day rally before continuing down. So there has been one false signal, a strong rallying signal on 3/13. But I think this is a real thing. I think we're going to get a rally off of this. And finally, I want to talk Google. Google, I did a fib retrace, I think, but I don't see it. It looks like it got wiped out. I don't know why. Let's close this up a little bit. The lows of 3/22, 2020 was 1,008. So let me see if I can't move that, salvage this fib chart. And the high, the zero would be up here. I'm going to try to just move it up at about 3,000, right? Let's see what it was. 3,030 was the high. And the low, let's see if I can grab the low. The low should be right here at 1,008. I don't know what's going on. It's all messed up, isn't
I
it?
think you have two of them on top of each
I
other.
got two of
You have
them.
multiple of them on top of each other.
I got several of them. You know what? Let me just erase them. And I'll just quickly draw it in again. Whoops, now I got a line. Fib.
Clear it first.
Oh, yeah. Fib. All right, so we're right here, and we're going up. The zero should be here, right about there. Okay, so notice where we stopped. We stopped exactly at the 50% retrace on Google. So there's every reason to feel optimistic that we've already bottomed on Google. And what did Dr. J do today? When I happened to see this chart, I bought some Google. I added to my Google collection, just on the off chance that we bottomed. You know, even if the market continues down, it doesn't mean Google will continue down, or Alphabet. The leaders, the mega caps, they usually bottom before the rest of the market. So even if we're not at the absolute bottom for the Qs, we might be at the absolute bottom for Google here at 2037. which is exactly the 50%. I like when you get fib numbers. I'm a fib number crazy person. And at this point, if that's violated, notice where the 200 week moving average is. It's right at the 61.8%. So you've got every reason to believe that this will serve as strong support and probably a bottom. So if we're not ready at the bottom, then we're likely to go all the way down to 1775, which would be
The 200-day moving average.
250 and about less than 500 points. So it would be a significant drop. It would be about 20%. It would be like what Mike Wilson's calling for. But this is the only chart that supports that. And plus the fact that we already hit the 50%, which makes me confident. Let's see if we can do a biotech or two. Any gentlemen, Snaid, Mark, Mika, anybody have a request for a biodrec?
BCRX.
BCRX, you got it. BCRX. Okay, so we held the 200 on the weekly, and we're putting in a nice candle so far this week on the weekly, with a higher high than last week. It's looking pretty good. It looks like we have to close above the 100, which is serving as resistance at this point. And let's see, let's draw the daily. The daily shows us more or less the same thing, but even better because we're closing what looks like we're going to close the day above the 50. And when was the last time we did that? I don't even see it. Well, basically we closed at the 50 on 6/8, exactly on the 50. We closed at 1088, which was pretty much the 50. Let's see, the 50 that day was 1079. We closed at 1088. Yeah, so basically barely above the 50 then. And then if you go back to the next time we did that, it's all the way back here, April 7th. We closed at $18, so close to it. And that was it. The next day we gapped all the way down. So at some point, I feel very confident that at some point in the not too distant future, maybe not tomorrow, but in the not too distant future, we're going to get a gap fill of that $18 number, 1788 or whatever it is. So right up there, we will make it all the way back to $18. Maybe it takes us till the end of the year, but that's fine. And the first little bit of resistance will come right here. We are going to close above the 50, which is very bullish to me. The next bit of resistance will be 1132. So I'm bullish BCRX. I've been bullish XBI. You know that, Kamal.
Yes.
The last week or two, it's been looking really good.
Could we do Sava as well?
Sure. Sava is trading between the 50 and the 100 on the weekly, on the daily. So the good news is we've traded above the 50 all week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 days in a row. We've traded above the 50. We tried to close above the 100. We hit 37 that day, but fell back. We're very close to that 100 now. The 100 now is at 32.20. I see that as being a very important milestone or achievement. We have to close above the 100, Close above the 100, I see a run to the 200. So I'm fairly optimistic, Sava. Well, let me just say, the chart looks pretty good on Sava. Of course, the danger is that it hits that $32, bounces back to retest the 50, because we could get more ping pong type action on Sava if it doesn't break through and close above the 100. So very important that it break through and close above the 100 technically. So that's it. We did it. We did it. We did everything. RYTM Heath wants. Okay. RYTM, and then we'll call it a day. RYTM. We have a rounded bottom, and we're up against the 50. Heath, like the other story, we want to close above this 50, and then the thing could take off. This chart looks interesting. So the 50 is at what's the 50 at? 489. It's not that far. We close above 489, and we also need to close above this high from 4 days ago, 505. Let's just draw that number in. Close above 505 there should be great Momo on this one. I want to close above that line, and then I think we can. I think we can run. This is a nice looking chart.
So most stocks looks like they bottom already.
Yes.
I mean, look at that.
Yes, just draw that line in, right, Kamal?
Yep.
You could see the bottom. The bottom is in at 285. And a lot of biotech in particular looks like it's bottomed. And again, a lot of gurus on the street are whispering, biotech. Biotech is the place to be. So maybe they're right this time around. Biotech is the place to be. Okay, and there was one more. What did Mark want? Mark had one. CVM?
CVM.
All right, let's take a look at CVM. CV with an M. I gotta get rid of these lines. All right, so we broke through the 100. We're closing above the 100 on the daily.
Looks bullish.
Very bullish. If this is
looks like the bottom too.
Yeah, it looks like it bottomed, but of course, it's very, very, very news sensitive. I mean, they didn't get approval yet from the FDA, right? So that's very big. The trading range is this high. It's in a trading range, 614. The bottom is call it 258, but I think you can draw a better bottom at this point. Let's call a bottom at a new support area at 307. So from 307 trading range, 307 to 614, and looking good, looking very strong at this point, CBM. All right, that's it for today. More optimistic, Dr. J, than you've seen before. We wound up looking at 4 biotechs, all of which look promising. We looked at Google, which looks very promising. We looked at the indices, which shows that we very well may have bottomed on some of them, or maybe have another 10% left on the downside. This has been Dr. Arjun and Kamal saying thank you for showing up at this early hour. Thank you for supporting our show. Thank you for sharing the link and subscribing. And as always, do your own due diligence, because our opinions are
I'm hoping for a Green Friday.
Advice. Check with an advisor before acting. What's that, Kamal?
I said I'm hoping for a Green Friday as well.
Yeah, we're going to get a Kamal Green Friday tomorrow. Hasta la vista. Ciao.